This is the DFK news delivered honestly without bias or prejudice. Ivan Fakna reporting, these are the headlines. Russia is taking over the presidency of the United Nations Security Council for the month of June. Donald Trump agrees to meet with Kim Jong-un on June 12 in Singapore. The Russian army is showing off its latest technological advances. And finally, 34th European Rhythmic Gymnastics Championship is taking place in Guadalajara, Spain. Hello and welcome to the DFK News. Now, the headline stories in depth.
Here we have our political coordinator, Alexander Volgarev, and Ambassador Nebenzia. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. This is your lucky month. You have me for the whole month. I'm all yours. It is a pleasure to see you on the first day of the Russian presidency. Allow me to briefly announce what we are planning for the month, week by week. We already had meetings today, traditional permanent representatives breakfast, where we discussed the program.
Breakfast at the United Nations was a great success. Most of the participants really enjoyed the menu. However, some of them complained about the excessive presence of alcohol, particularly vodka bottles, next to each individual guest. A British representative mentioned that a quarter of all Russian men die before they reach their mid-50s, and their passion for alcohol, particularly vodka, is largely to blame. A study of more than 150,000 people found extraordinarily high premature death rates among male Russians, some of whom reported drinking 3 or more bottles a week of the potent clear spirit. That didn't stop the Russian political envoy from showing everybody how vodka should be drank, 1 liter at a time.
And then the political coordinators fine-tuned it a little bit, and later we adopted our program of work.
Yet again, Russia showed everybody its leadership. Through a constructive cooperation with other delegations, Russia is striving to ensure the success of the intergovernmental process.
Announced the summit is a go. It will take place June 12th in Singapore after he had canceled it last week.
You people are going to have to travel because you'll be in Singapore on June 12th. And I think it'll be a process. It's not, I never said it goes in one meeting. I think it's going to be a process. But the relationships are building, and that's a very positive.
It might seem that Russia has been very quiet when it comes to the future meeting between Donald Trump and Mr. Kim. However, this is far from true. As you can see, technical and diplomatic experts from Russia have crossed into North Korea to meet with their counterparts. Russian officials said on Sunday, as part of an intense behind-the-scenes effort to resurrect the possibility of a summit meeting between the two countries' leaders. Led by Boris Krenkin, a veteran diplomat with years of experience negotiating with North Korea, the team is seeking detailed commitments from Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader, about this regime's willingness to abandon its nuclear weapons program. News of the delegation was first reported by the Washington Post. Such issues would typically be handled by a well-established diplomatic process of lower-level negotiations that usually takes months, if not years. But Mr. Trump short-circuited the process when he abruptly accepted in March an invitation to meet with Mr. Kim. Now, after just as abruptly cancelling the summit, meetings scheduled for June 12 in Singapore, Mr. Trump has, wittingly or not, set in motion a more normal set of discussions to lay the groundwork for an agreement about North Korean nuclear weapons program ahead of a decision on whether to hold a meeting between the two leaders after all. Russian army is always portrayed as one of the most technologically advanced. However, let's talk about the human factor. When you're an armored vehicle driver and you're late for a parade, perhaps putting the pedal to the metal in the middle of town isn't such a great idea. The city of Volgograd was today preparing for an upcoming military parade. Columns of military vehicles had taken up the position and were practicing rolling through the city street. But one vehicle seems to have been somewhat out of place and behind in time, so the driver poured on the gas and the tracked vehicle leapt down the slick, wet road in the city center. Hitting the brakes had little effect in slowing down the 60-ton beast. The heavy vehicle skidded, went sideways, and then demolished a street-side light pole, among other things, not to mention gouge out the pavement and gutter off the median strip.
Et le mien dans ce miroir. Encore un soir, encore une heure.
A major scandal is taking place at the European Championship in Guadalajara, Spain. Former world and Olympic champion in rhythmic gymnastics has not been invited to participate in the competition. Ivan Peskov, who was a huge star at one time, but then he turned his attention to alcohol, was not invited to participate in the European Championship. He retired from gymnastics in 2012. He gained 25 pounds. Once known as a petite blonde gymnast who backflipped and hang-sprung his way to 5 Olympic medals, he was suddenly bombarded with comments calling him fat and scrutinizing his body. Yet, as you can see, he still retains absolutely great form. Thank you for watching. You're up to date. This is DFK News.